Welcome back to Hack City. Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson. Today's episode is presented to you by FanDuel, which took a lot of Sean's money because he placed a lot of bad bets this week. Alabama minus 13.5 was one of them. If you missed it on the pick show, fantastic analysis by our good friend Sean. I had Texas money line, so they took my money too. We've got a lot to talk about from week one, Sean. We're going to get to the end of the show. We're going to tape the end of the show. We're not going to try to hide the fact that this is a two-part taping. We're going to talk about the end of the Clemson LSU game. I got to just throw this out there before we talk about the biggest storyline that has been overblown, overreacted to, over-joked about, the Arch Manning stuff. Is it just me, or does it feel like there's an awful lot of white knuckling in this week one? And it kind of happened a little bit in week 0. It just felt like everybody was so freaking tense for no reason. All these offenses were all over the place. I almost think, and this isn't really much of a take, but you know how every single year there's fluctuations between, or every couple of years there's fluctuations between, the offenses are killing it, and then suddenly over the offseason, all the defensive coordinators figure out how to stop all the new schemes, and then the defenses are now kicking everybody's ass. Why do I feel like the offenses this year are going to be really crap, and we're going to get a lot of really low-scoring games?
Yeah, it's just more that I think it looks like nobody has chemistry either.
No.
And that's transfer portal stuff. It's NIL stuff. It's too many new faces moving all over the place instead of you work next to people for 4 straight years. Then, I kind of understand how you operate, and I understand how you operate. The offenses were rough. It never felt like, they're going to crack one open here, especially with the big games. How many analysts do you need to go 3 and out? How many coaches do you need on camera in a box, shoulder to shoulder, scribbling? All they're doing is scribbling. What for? Who's that for?
Skippy up in the booth with the calculator running the analytics. Please tell us to run another short passing concept that's short of the sticks. I need to know who's responsible for that, because every offense was doing that today. Every team that needed to have some nuts. Oh, we're Alabama and we're also Texas down multiple scores. Hey, let's run it on 1st and 10 when we've got no time to go. Today was one of the grossest offensive just decision-making days that I have watched.
It's like what are you saving it for? It's like they're all saving it for something. It's week 1. and also this is also it comes with, I think, being able to have a lot more leeway with your losses in the season. Where you can lose 2 games, and now if we keep on expanding the CFP, you can lose 3 games, and who cares? It was week 1, okay, the team's completely different. I'm already gearing up for that narrative where yes. This week 1 stuff is basically rendered useless, because now losses don't matter in the regular season, and it's just going to be a look how far we came from becoming completely unwatchable 10 weeks ago to now we can actually march the ball down the field. I'd hope so. Football teams are supposed to get better through the season naturally, but you used to get punished for losing week 1 ugly. You used to get punished for being upset. Now you're not. So I think that it's pretty blasé attitude from the coordinators saying, we'll just get it back on the next one. We got some cupcakes scheduled. Credit to the teams that didn't schedule cupcakes in week 1. I'm always thankful and grateful for that. And even if I've come off as bitching, I just wanted a little more, and I'm greedy. I'm a big fat hog pig, and I'm greedy for more good football. But give it to us. Stop hiding the good plays. Stop not wanting to get your tape out there. It's over. That whole thing is over. Play your best game every week, and you'll make the CFP.
And I think that what you just said epitomizes the disturbing performance that we saw from this Texas offense. First and foremost, I think the one narrative that's not getting talked about enough, and I'm gladly going to point this out because I want to take the victory lap on it. Matt Patricia was hired as the defensive coordinator for Ohio State, and it felt like I was the only person who was waving my arms in the air saying, hey, really good NFL defensive coordinator gets college job against coaches who don't know how to go up against him. This is going to work really well. I didn't think it was going to work right off the bat this easily because there's always a little bit of that feeling out period. But, and tomorrow morning, I'm going to digest and actually watch the film before I go on with Blake. I bet you that when we look at it from the All-22 angle, we're going to really see how effectively he schemed their coverages to completely put Sark and Arch in a blender. The whole first 3 quarters, he was dropping back, and you actually saw Arch. I thought I saw a guy who was trying to go through his progressions and his reads, which is not something that can be said for every single young quarterback. But as he's going through his progressions, nothing's opening up, and then he's panicking because he's young, and then he's trying to escape pressure and throw on the run, and then that just snowballed into him playing like shit. He didn't start great. He had a couple balls that he threw that were, low and away, and they just weren't placed where they needed to be. But as the game went on, it felt like he was in this mental battle with Matt Patricia, who said, we're going to just keep everything in front of us, and you're not going to be able to find a window. It was tremendous coverage that they had on what's a pretty explosive Texas receiving room. So 2 things can be true at once. Patricia completely cooked Sark in this game, and Arch Manning didn't play well in his first ever start.
Well, Matt Patricia doesn't have the last name Manning, so it's not as juicy. But the Ohio State defense was all clamps all game.
We get Patricia marker, by the way. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I know.
That's pencil in his ear with a laminated sheet.
Worst bit ever. But not worse. Actually, I'll take that back. The worst bit ever was from all of you on social media today. All of you not understanding, 1, who Arch Manning is, and I'll get to that briefly, and 2, not understanding that you're not funny. You're not funny. The Arch shtick today was like the least I've ever. I couldn't even crack a smile. There were no hard exhales. Like there wasn't once where I'm looking at an Arch Manning joke. Like God, that's creative. Nope. It was low hanging fruit hack BS all day. And also, you don't know who Arch is, and you don't know the college game or the game of football nowadays. What did you know about the Mannings? You knew about Archie Manning, and he was a good quarterback on bad teams in the Saints. He has some kids, Peyton Manning, cerebral genius at the line. They're not allowed to do that anymore. Quarterbacks aren't allowed to do that, especially young quarterbacks in college. Play callers have the full autonomy, and guess what? If you challenge it, you're in shit. So Arch isn't going up there and creating his own plays at the line of scrimmage like Peyton Manning was. Gone are the days where quarterbacks would have debates with their play callers about what to do or what they saw. So you're not getting the cerebral side of Manning. And then what's the other one? Eli Manning, dopey and ballsy. And both can be really good for football, but Arch isn't experienced enough to unlock that side yet. So you just have a pretty raw quarterback with a lot of potential and an interesting last name, but those last name tendencies are rendered obsolete. So understand that it's just a quarterback on a team right now. And until he takes some magical step or training arc or whatever, it's going to be more of this.
I give Ohio State a lot of credit, by the way, but sadly, because of Arch having played in this game, our attention is so aggressively directed at, which is kind of annoying. That's like the really annoying part about this is Ohio State had no expectation to win this game. Everybody thought that Texas had this, and they played a really effective, sound performance where their defense played balls out. They rallied, they tackled, they got after Arch. They didn't allow any big plays. They did enough in the run game to convert. Carnell Tate played out of his mind.
Their offensive line was, they overperformed their expectations. They moved players defensively, and the pass pro was solid. Like Texas defense should have been like a wild dogs chasing the rabbit, and they weren't. They were subdued the entire time.
I think that what's really annoying, though, and you kind of just hit it there, because of I have tried to be as level-headed as possible with Arch to a degree. I kind of fell into on our show and on a couple of my radio spots. I've kind of fallen into the the Feinbaum degree of like, I think that this kid is going to be tremendous. I think he's going to be great. But at the same time, I wanted to see him play first. I was not one of those people that was saying he's going to be the first overall pick. He's going to declare he's going to get drafted early. I was not one of those people. I thought that was way too reactive for a kid not to play. I also didn't want to put him in the Heisman conversation because, again, he hasn't played. I thought that this was going to be a 2-year process where it was going to take him a little bit of time. I thought that this would have been a great stage for him to jump out there and go for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns and have a solid first game, and we feel pretty good. That doesn't come to fruition. because of this discussion about him and his name and who he is and the family he's coming from, it has created such like negativity against him for if he plays poorly. So like everyone's going to freaking hate him and everybody's going to freaking love him when he plays well. It's really frustrating that this is how we come away from this. If everybody loved to use the bit coming into his first season and him stepping into Texas of saying, if his name wasn't Arch Manning, he'd be a nobody. But the same thing applies in the opposite direction. If his name wasn't Arch Manning, you wouldn't be this critical of a kid for his first ever start on the road in a difficult environment against the number 2 team in the country. Just plain and simple.
Right. Yeah. You build them up, and we're in. I was talking to some former quarterbacks about this today, about the quarterback discourse in America.
Were you texting Vito?
Vito was actually
quarterback, Hack City quarterback analyst.
Yes. The quarterback ecosystem in America and how we treat them is, if they're not immediately stars, then you want to tear them down and destroy them and break them down, and then everyone gets up for the redemption arc. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Joe Flacco, which is a weird one, Bryce Young. Like, we're in on the redemption arc. So it's kind of tracking right now for exactly how the media wanted to set this up, and the big talking heads slurping up Arch and then trying to get that narrative going. I know what you're doing. You're getting him up so you can break him down, and then you can be the first person to come back and say, don't quit on him yet. Don't quit on him yet. I think he's coming back. Whole time he's been talented. Whole time he's been gifted. Whole time he's been getting railroaded by this, that, or the other. And all they want to do is sit here and pretend like they didn't build him up and pretend like they weren't the first to tear him down. Just watch the quarterback play, man. Just watch him play. He did some cool things today. He did some stuff that I was disappointed with. If we're talking about Arch Manning being a mobile guy, get him going then. Get running upfield. Let me see the dynamic stuff. Because I didn't see a ton of that today, but that's just quarterback analysis of what I was expecting. All this, the redemption arc, I'm out on it. I love it, but I'm out on it. Everyone loves Baker Mayfield now. You proved that it works, but get back to the meat and potatoes, please. It doesn't all need to be a TV show arc.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting a redemption arc for the SEC though this season. Florida State, Tommy Castellanos, I owe you an apology, sir. You talked shit. You talked shit, and Alabama was the one who got hit. This is the most embarrassing loss that I can think of in my time watching college football.
It's worse than Vandy.
Like, in all seriousness, forget. But it's embarrassing for a completely different reason. It's embarrassing for the fact that this dude, unprompted, over the course of the offseason, did multiple interviews. Has never played at Florida State before, got benched where he played. There was no reason Tommy Castellanos was supposed to work. He talked shit. He didn't subtly talk shit. He doubled down and he pointed a finger at you and said, you guys are going to get effed up. You guys don't have Nick Saban. We're coming for your throat. And there were responses from Alabama folks. And they just stood there and got punched in the throat. Nothing. There was no attention to detail in the degree of what Alabama needed to do in this game. They had all of the same freaking issues that they had last year that I spent the whole offseason talking about how this is going to get better, this is going to get better. Stupid penalties, can't tackle, sitting on your heels on defense, getting out-coached and out-schemed, and just falling for any misdirection or fake or something that's just a little bit confusing, and you can't block for shit. That offensive line that's supposed to be talented was awful. Ty Simpson, that kid's gifted. I
like him a lot.
Saw too many people shitting on that poor kid.
It's the wrong dude to shit on today.
Yeah, he would drop back, and then it would be like that. He had to loop around and run for his life to find something to happen. 43 passing attempts. They couldn't run the football. And also, before I throw it over to you, I got to give credit to Gus Malzahn, who's a complete sicko. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different players have a registered rushing attempt. 7. That is insane. This is going to be a chaotic Florida State team. I have no idea if they're actually like going to be a top ACC team this year, but that was a fun football game for seeing the SEC get punched in the throat.
I loved everything about this. I loved everything about this game, and I know I picked it. It's the most satisfying pick that I've ever lost. Tragically, it's the most satisfying bet I've ever just
Spin
given money
doctor
away
over
to.
here.
I got you. That Ty Simpson kid is all heart, and if you try to bash him through this season, you're wrong. I watched how he played. I watched that. There were a couple of decisions he made that were poor, but for the most part, that guy's all heart, and he's going to win them football games this year. Tommy Castellanos, like quit on Boston College, like was like a one-man army looking for some battle to fight. And you know where he landed? In Tallahassee, a 2-win team with whatever the hell going on with them.
Shows the most improbable thing ever, man.
starts talking cash to Alabama, like the one program you don't talk cash to, and it gets responded to by Alabama. Saban would have said, don't even address that as a comment. And the Alabama says, Alabama players are saying, I think Deontay Lawson and another, the disrespect will be addressed. What was it addressed? It didn't look like it was addressed. It looked like you got disrespected like hell in that field. And Florida State, I will credit them. The way that they came out of the gates in this game was insane. They were downhill tackling. They were swarming the box. Alabama had nothing. Florida State wanted to win that game and wanted to play a tougher brand of football than Alabama did, and that's what we're looking at. And that might be a DeBoer issue. As a DeBoer fan, as somebody that enjoys him,
he might be on.
It might be a DeBoer issue.
And he might be on the. He might be. There might be some problems having in Tuscaloosa.
you can't lose to Vanderbilt and then lose to a Florida State team with the brand new quarterback talking shit about you. Are you kidding?
All the variables that you brought up, you can't lose. I actually like listening to Feinbaum sometimes. I might go out of my way to listen to Feinbaum on Monday. And by the way, I love Feinbaum. All the shit that he talked this offseason coming into the year about Arch and the SEC and all that stuff. He said, here's my damn number. Call the number. He posted it on X. Did you see that? That
screener is going to be their phone screeners are going to be in hell. You know how many unusable phone calls?
Call center. It's going to be like a call center.
Sir, you're already cursing. You cannot go on the air. You can't.
I want to know his take on the SEC because this is, and I can't wait to have this conversation with Blake. I already told Blake that I'm going to play this up quite a bit.
Oh, sure.
I've done a little bit of SEC defending in my time, but the one thing that I have always fought with Blake on is this belief that the top teams in your conference are so much stronger than the top teams in other conferences, and that you have more top depth. So like the top 7 teams in the SEC would beat the shit out of the top, 5 or whatever of the Big Ten and the ACC and so forth.
Right.
That completely failed to be proven today. The number 1 team in a projected team to win your conference lost to a Big Ten team that was replacing everything. A team that was also another projected winner of your conference that was facing a team that literally had nothing last year and had just a bunch of random musical chairs going into this season. You lost to that team as well. And I don't know if by the time that we record this end of this show, Sean, after the Clemson LSU game, there's a chance that narrative could be expanded even further. That when we're asked to show competition between them and other conferences, they're not the big dogs anymore. I forget who it was, and somebody pointed this out when NIL started to pick up steam. It's almost like that now that everyone can start paying players and it's not being done with McDonald's bags and in duffels on hotel room floors when you come in for your official visit, it's almost like everybody else can catch up. That's the most important part about this. The gap has been shortened between the number 1 team in the country and the number 15 team in the country. Those teams, the number 1 team is still better than the number 15 team, but there is not this like super team out there in the SEC that's going to kill everybody. I think Georgia's going to be great, but it's not looking good because who the hell else is that second best SEC team that's supposed to be a juggernaut?
And I don't care if they play each other. There's this whole we beat up on each other BS.
That means nothing.
Kentucky had a 1-score win against Toledo today. Toledo, a fine program.
Hey, respect Toledo.
I am.
They're my G5 playoff team pick.
It's a very smart pick. Toledo's solid. Mississippi State was up by 3 against Southern Miss at half. I don't care if you think you're beating up on each other. You're not. It's not the sacred kingdom where you have to go trial and fire to go and enter to be able to play against these guys. It's not that anymore. And the new age and the bitching and the moaning, I can't get enough of it. Put it in a big bowl, give me a fork, and let me eat that up. I can't get enough of the SEC cope, because if y'all hadn't acted like such pompous jackasses for so long about this conference, thinking that you were invincible forever, then it would have been fine. We're just operating in college football land and we're just watching the game. But you didn't. They got greedy. They got snobby. They got too big for their britches. And now it's all come home to roost for them. I love it. I love that the Big Ten is better. I love that there's legitimate contenders about conference depth. I like that the ACC's pushing them. ACC's still dog water. Don't let me dog.
The top 3 teams in the ACC will push them. That's.
I'll take 3, but I'll take 3
top
from
4.
the ACC.
Wait, top 4. I'll include Georgia Tech, maybe Duke in there. Although Duke got tested from Elon, which was.
I think Duke should have done better against Elon, but Georgia Tech had a gritty one. I like that it's all starting to round out, even out. And then maybe these people are going to realize they're cut from the same cloth. You're putting your britches on the same way everyone else is. And guess what? Sometimes an ACC team is going to come and punch you right in the mouth, and you weren't ready for it. And I think it's going to continue. I can't get enough.
I am a sicko when it comes to evaluating and understanding arguments. I actually read quite a bit on like debate tactics, and there was a very short period of time where I thought I was going to be a lawyer, and I learned about fallacies in arguments. The way that you know that somebody's losing an argument is when they're changing the information. So the information that's now being changed is that you point out that this Big Ten team that wasn't supposed to be the number 1 team in the Big Ten this year, that perspective might change as the course of the season goes on, because Ohio State played better than everyone thought. But if you point out that said team beat the number 1 team in the conference, suddenly that team is now the equivalent to Kentucky. Suddenly that team is not good. They're not a representative of the conference. They shouldn't be brought up in the conversation. They're not associated with them with the SEC. It's dumb. I think it's okay. This is the thing that we forget. And I admit that I'm wrong all the time when I get my arguments wrong. When I lose, on tomorrow's show on Rufino and Joe, I'm going to come on and say to Ohio State fans and Florida State fans, I was wrong. It's annoying as shit. And SEC fans are the worst when it comes to this, when they just sit and they just cross their arms and go, nope.
They dig deeper. They entrench themselves.
Yes.
It's okay to understand. Look,
things change.
I know the TV promos keep on being TV promos and they want to get you excited for the season, but every season isn't the biggest season ever. It's not the best season ever for your conference. Statistically, we'll be able to calculate that 2025 will not be the biggest season ever or the best and the most exciting. No, it's going to be bad. It's going to be rough for you guys. Start learning how to live with it, because you guys like suing the NCAA and having the states come and protect you and keep players on your teams, find loopholes. You guys are kings of that. Maybe to a couple teams in the Big Ten that would challenge you. But you guys make such a fuss all the time. Now you're going to have to start to sit with it, because at the end of the day, it's 60 minutes on the gridiron. And if your teams can't go over there and put out 60 minutes of winning football, then there's nothing else you can say. And I know you're going to ballot for 4 lost teams to get in the CFP and 3 lost teams that had no business doing so. But on my scale, I count week 1 losses.
That's what needs to end. I think that because now that the playoff committee has adjusted their parameters for getting in, there is going to be an argument for 1 or 2 9-3 SEC teams, just by the fact that like the only 2 that qualify for that are Florida and LSU, because they quite literally have 2 of the hardest schedules in the country. But the same thing will not apply for, I don't know, like a 9-3 Bama team, for example. I don't think that that's going to apply. They need to go 10-2 or better. I also don't think that the Big Ten is necessarily past the SEC. I just think it's a lot more even than it's been depicted recently.
Yeah, it's close. And they tried to paint it as a runaway. They tried to paint it as a clear number 1. It's a tight race.
Extremely tight. Before we end up taping the last segment for the Clemson LSU game, if you're wondering why, like an important game like that is at the end. Again, we're taping it at the end. Reminder also, today's show is presented to you by FanDuel. We have to talk about Dylan Raiola being a weirdo. I know that this is not an original conversation, an original take. I love Dylan Raiola. I absolutely love him. I think he is incredibly gifted. I thought it was funny at first, this weird obsession with Patrick Mahomes that he has. But I was not expecting it to be as in my face as it was in their 20-17 victory against Cincinnati. I thought he played well, by the way, in that game. I thought he showed like some real tremendous touch. He had that one ball, that one fade that he threw that he had to pinpoint place the ball on the top of his helmet, and he fucking drove the ball right into his hands on the top of his helmet. That is one of the nuttiest throws that you will see within the 10-yard line. I don't want to hear anyone try and tell me, oh, that's a routine play. Shut the hell up. You don't know what you're talking about. That is a hard – guys miss that throw all of the time.
Yeah.
That is impossible to make. He had some really nice throws. They got out-coached because they just forced an air raid offense to cut you away with a million cuts. But this is beyond weird now. He's dressing like him. He's wearing the glasses to the point now where his throwing motion and he's doing the stupid, the little hand thing. That was where I lost it. That is, we can't be doing this, man. Actually, I was about to say somebody needs to sit him down and talk to him. Patrick Mahomes, please sit down this kid and tell him to stop. Tell him to stop.
I don't mind it.
You. No, stop it.
What do you
mean? What do you mean you don't mind it?
LeBron came in and wore 23 because of Jordan. Everyone wears numbers because they're guys.
He ain't doing the Jordan shit, though. What did he copy that was Jordan? Wear number 15 and then go out there and do that. That's it. He's even got the stupid fat dad bod, too.
He's a little doughy. He's a little thick. Honestly, though, who else would you emulate? If I'm a college quarterback and I'm gifted and I want to emulate a player, that's kind of the guy I'd like to emulate, especially if I'm built like that dude. If I'm not like uber athletic, but I got a big arm and I got some finesse, that's kind of who I'm trying to be. And I give him credit for it. The glasses, regrettable. The hair matching, regrettable. If he shaves it down like Mahomes did and gets it tightened up like he did, I don't know, but athletes are weird, man. I would try Joe Thomas launch stances after practice because I'm like, that's Joe Thomas. I know it's not. Sean. I know. But you find these guys, you latch on. And if he's latching on a little bit, I don't mind. It's not like he's trying to be Tyrod Taylor, a journeyman that's just going for 2 games a season.
Yeah. And like
Tyrod's got a good life. I like Tyrod. He's the first name that came to my mind.
This is something that was pointed out, and I noticed, and I wish I tweeted it because it was a really great thought, but somebody beat me to it. His godfather is Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, that's tough. You could be Staffy. I wouldn't mind being Staffy.
He has NFL people in his life. He's choosing Mahomes because of some weird fetish that this kid has.
No, he likes Mahomes, man.
How much do you want to bet that he has his girlfriend is a like annoying blonde girl like Mahomes' wife? How much do you want to bet that she's just not he's just going to grab the first one that he sees and start posting pictures with her?
People have him on Shorty Watch now, and that's tough.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, like they're waiting to see, just like they're like the assumption that, oh well, let's see how deep this well goes. I would like to see like an actual Dylan Raiola thing. Like, let me see you do something that's a little bit different. Do you listen to bad Nashville music like Mahomes does? Like what do you do that's different from that guy? And if it's nothing and you go into the league then he better go in the league and be Mahomes. Because now that's all I can expect.
The funniest possible outcome with this before we end this segment. He claims that he has a relationship with Mahomes, and that's like something that gets talked about. This isn't going to happen. And I'm not wishing ill will on Dylan Raiola. Again, I like him as a player. He's fantastic. I think he's going to step into the NFL and he's going to be phenomenal. And I'm going to root for it because I actually love Mahomes too, by the way. Like this is he's one of my favorite players in the NFL. I'm not a Mahomes hater. But it would be so funny if Mahomes, like in an interview, came out and said, I don't talk to this kid. He won't stop DMing me. I had to block his number. I don't deal with him. That's not going to happen. But that'd be really funny if Mahomes just got real sick of him and said, like, made a real public statement. That's not Mahomes' personality, but imagine if he was driven to that point to come out and say, I have to keep my distance from this kid because he keeps showing up on holidays thinking that he was invited.
I have a couple. My two funniest possible scenarios for Raiola are both involved with the Chiefs. One, they just draft him to be Mahomes' backup.
like his college career doesn't finish that great. That popped in my head too. It's like they just randomly decided to draft him.
And then he's the first NFL player ever to have a decimal a part of his number, where he's 15.1. And that would be awesome. Secondly, it would be Mahomes starts asking for more money in a couple years when Raiola is declaring, and the Chiefs end up taking Raiola and let Mahomes walk, and they just slot in another Mahomes. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah,
I like that.
I
would love the discourse to see, would you rather have Mahomes or Mahomes Jr. if you're the Chiefs? You could get Mahomes Jr. for a rookie deal. That's what that would get into some really interesting discourse.
I'm trying to think what would make for a funny team for Raiola to play for in the NFL. Like what
Raiders are going to need a QB by then.
Well, yeah.
That's in division.
In division's the obvious one, but I'm trying to. There's not a lot of red teams.
Make him the Cowboys quarterback. Please make him the Cowboys quarterback.
What's the
2 more years for Dak, and then you have Mahomes Jr. in the star. That'll get Jerry up. I bet Jerry might draft that guy.
Jerry ain't going to be around by.
What do you mean? Jerry's making big. Jerry's making big, great moves right now. Going on to punch. Did you see his? That interview. This will be brief.
Michael Parsons. Not
even that. Him punching the microphone or punching the table and then making the mic modulate all throughout the press conference was cracking me up. He's done 1 billion press conferences, but he's punching the microphone talking about Micah. I love Jerry Jones. As soon as I start hating him, I start loving him.
All right, we're gonna jump over to. We're gonna finish taping for right now, and then we're gonna jump over to LSU Clemson. All right, closing out today's show, we are coming back for part 2. LSU beats Clemson on the road. Brian Kelly finally wins a week 1 matchup against a ranked opponent, or just an opponent in general that is not an FCS team. Happy for him. Very happy for Brian Kelly for getting this done. Obviously, I say that partially bitterly and facetiously. My assertion at the beginning of the show, Sean, about the defense is prevailing, I think that is quite true because that was the case for this game. We have an LSU team that has been quite porous defensively, suddenly playing amazing coverage. Mansour DeLeone has the game of his life. You have their defensive line getting after Klubnik on the other side of things. Nussmeier was chased around a little bit by Clemson's defensive line as well. They also did a pretty good job of slowing down the LSU rushing attack. I don't know if this game means that LSU is going to thrust itself into the top 2 of the SEC, but it kind of feels like that's the case because the rest of the conference gave us so much uncertainty.
It's at least resume stuff. It's at least something you could put a check right next to their name at and say, oh, they did that. It's at least Clemson that was ranked high at the time. This game, I think, is forcing me to become more of an optimist for the quarterback play for the rest of the season because I've seen yet another top-tier matchup of quarterbacks that had pretty high billings. And after seeing a 95% of the Saturday slate, all of the Thursday and Friday slate, I'm expecting these quarterbacks to come back to the mean and become pretty good and start dotting teams up because they kind of have to. After this big week 1, where I guess the defensive coordinators just in their heads and have them down pat, I think the OCs need to get back through the rest of the season. And instead of doing this cookie cutter BS where it's the check down, it's throw to how many teams are going to throw it horizontal? Just right to the sideline. How many times do I watch a defensive player just chase the ball because it's so close to a lateral and that's your play call?
That literally happened in the fourth quarter where LSU ran 3 straight screens. Clemson couldn't stop it. And then the fourth time they decided to run, I think it was like a swing pass, and it turned into a huge loss way behind the line of scrimmage, and it led to them punting. That had to have been the most nauseating part about all this. I think that, like, I know that we're kind of sailing off the talking point of this game specifically. I'm just rounding out This is what we call callback folks in the industry. Where I'm rounding out this thought. It's 11:30 on a Saturday. I'm rounding out this thought that for F's sake, can all of these freaking offensive coordinators have some nuts? You know who had nuts today? Florida State was a team who had nuts. Who
push the ball down the field.
Things.
Push it down the field.
And they went for it on 4th and 1 on their own 34-yard line. But to not backtrack to that game, I do think Clemson losing Antonio Williams hurt them, but still, you have good receivers. You have a big-arm quarterback attack. Same for Garrett Nussmeier. You have all of these athletes. You've Trey'Dez Green, who's 6'7" basketball player. They did at least show me some good things. Like that offense looked a lot more coherent and steady compared to last year, which is why I think that I feel comfortable saying that LSU right now, after 1 week of play, total gut overreaction, they are the second best team in the SEC, and I would put Georgia at number 1.
That's fair. It was a good win. We shouldn't take that away from them. A win is a win in week 1, as I was bitching earlier about remembering the nasty losses of week 1. I will try my best to remember this win, this 17-10. Put up some points, please. The 17-10 win from LSU, and hold it to a standard, because walking into this game, all you see is the projections for Cade Klubnik Heisman, Clemson in the Final Four, the CFP duking it out.
All right, man. I need you to relax over there, okay? Because you're just naming all of my preseason predictions that I had.
Was that you?
Yes.
Oh, I bet that was all over the place. You're not out of the. You're
so not only you're not keeping up with my takes and the things that I've been saying, but you're also just shutting me down. Like all these pieces of shit are saying this.
Everyone's been on that.
I don't know. A single good take that came before today, by the way. I might not be built for this.
I got called out for my quote unquote radio silence. Called out like, "Hey Sean, this is your day. This is when we need you." I'm like, brother, if I left you out in the cold, I bet like they want to. We need bets going.
Did you give any bets out?
No, I was. Dude, Howard? If I left it, I told them, if I'm leaving you out in the cold, that's because it's colder inside. Okay, so I can't just go sending this stuff out like this. Oh God, it was brutal. So I get that, but the temperament of week 1 has come very quick. Like everyone is getting humbled across the board, and that's good. That means we get a fresh, clean slate now that ball has started, and we're not carrying a bunch of preseason narratives like a burden with us throughout.
This is going to be one of the most unpredictable seasons, I think, and that comes off of last year where it was incredibly unpredictable, and this is the reality of how the sport has completely changed. We will be back for college football FBS coverage at the end of next Saturday. We'll be back to our normal taping situation. I will not be in Miami. We will also be doing an FCS show, so stay tuned for that. Week 2 slate's terrible, so this is going to be a really interesting show. At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio, at Hack City Pod. Call in and leave us a voicemail, 201-834-4308. We'll talk to you later.